After the Supreme Court ruled in favor of Linda Brown in the case of Brown v. Board of Education in 1955, the Blossom Plan, which was named after the school's superintendent at the time, established the plan for gradual integration for the Little Rock School District. The NCCPA School Board adopted the plan for gradual integration of its schools. They sent 9 African American students to Central High School to test the Brown v. Board of Education law, stating that segregation in public schools is unconstitutional.
The Little Rock Nine were 9 African American students who enrolled at Central High School. On September 23rd, the Little Rock Nine were evacuated from the school by police officers to the presence of several thousand white vigilantes. According to civil rights historian Waldo E. Martin Jr., Governor Orval Faubus called in the Arkansas National Guard to block this black student's entry into the house school as he himself stood in the doorway. On September 24th, in response to the urgent plea from the mayor of Little Rock, President Eisenhower reluctantly federalized the Arkansas National Guard and dispatched Army troops to protect the students, explaining on national television, "Mob rule cannot be allowed to override the decision of our courts." The following morning, soldiers from the 101st Airborne Division accompanied the Little Rock Nine in Central High School.
Governor Orval Faubus would not allow the 9 African Americans to enter the school and went against the Supreme Court's ruling. This action was in violation of the law because the court had already ruled that segregation in public schools was unconstitutional.
The governor at the time had faced tough opposition during his last election in which he supported desegregation. However, Faubus knew that in order to win the next election, he would need the support and votes of those who supported segregation. So during the election of 1956, he decided to flip his political views on the segregation and turn to the support of the people who were pro-segregation.
By 1957, Faubus, known as a personable governor, saw his political future as being tied to stopping school desegregation. According to Jeffrey Raffel, a former professor and director at the School of Urban Affairs and Public Policy at the University of Delaware, Orval Faubus announced on statewide television that it would not be possible to restore or to maintain order if forcible integration were carried out the next day, and ordered the National Guard to surround Central High. On September 4th, 1957, the State National Association for the Advancement of Colored People president, Daisy Bates, helped escort 8 black students to the school, but they were turned away by guardsmen at gunpoint.
The sight of a line of soldiers blocking out the students made national headlines and polarized the nation. As a result of these actions, President Dwight D. Eisenhower ordered Faubus to remove the Arkansas Guard. Faubus did not comply, and Eisenhower was forced to send in 1,000 federal troops. According to Patricia Sullivan, former professor and chancellor at the University of North Carolina, the division was under the command of Major General Edwin Walker, who was committed to protecting the African American students. The troops were deployed from September until Thanksgiving of 1957, when Task Force 153rd Infantry assumed their responsibility.
The fact that the community and Governor Faubus were still in favor of a segregated school system showed how deep racism ran in the South at the time. Having a government official like Faubus still go against the highest court in the land tells a lot about the cultural norms at the time. Even though the court said segregation in public schools was not allowed, people in the South were so accustomed to being separate by color, they felt like it was socially acceptable to be kept segregated.
The lasting effects of the Little Rock Nine event are that in today's society, poor, underprivileged schools are not offered the same opportunity that more wealthy schools provide their students. Social inequalities in education continues to exist, and the roots of segregation and racism remain deeply tangled into society's structure. Given the correlation between education funding and property taxes, students from poorer communities frequently attend underfunded schools.